Hi everyone, I'm in my car and drinking coffee and just had to go pick up a few things. And I was thinking about how, like, when people understand, especially people who are typically like marginalized in a society or even in a family or a community, what happens when they realize they have power. And of course, in light of recent events with the UHC situation and the folk hero status that's coming out of this for the guy accused, I mean, it's got people consistently talking about this and speculating, and some people call it grotesque because people are saying that people are celebrating the fact that the CEO was murdered, which I don't think is the case. No one was advocating for the violence. No one likes the violence. But people are expressing their disdain towards the way business is done here in the United States. And also, like, the United States also dictates how the rest of the world does business. So it's like we're setting these parameters for basically, how the world operates when it comes to financial structures and how wealth is being generated for a very small amount of people, and how basically wealth is generated from the labor of a majority of people. So that's one part of it. So it's like, I think people are waking up, like the population of the US is waking up to the fact that they are basically continually working for other people to be not only wealthy to like a certain extent, but egregiously wealthy. And so much so to where the gap, of course, is getting bigger, the wealth gap. And I was also thinking about just like women's rights and, girls, and like, I was listening to something earlier today and they were saying like how, women are half of the world and we need to really pay more attention to, like, I don't even want to say women's issues, but like women's issues are humanity's issues. And yesterday I was listening to how Biden's initiatives is to concentrate, or was to give money towards menopausal women, like their medical situations, and heart disease, and how heart disease is the #1 killer in America. And it's getting better, the medical research on women, but not good enough. And so Biden was allotting money for that, which is great, because I could never imagine anyone in the Trump administration taking the time to say, okay, we need to go and see what the link is between menopause and heart attacks in our citizenry. And Biden had said during his speech that, like, it's not even a women's issue. It's an issue, like, if we need our women to be healthy and safe, and we need to know how to take care of them because they're integral parts of our society. It's almost ridiculous that someone even has to say that, but whatever. Anyway, so what I'm looking at today is just how, like, what happens when people understand that they have power, even though they're a maligned group, or they're a group that doesn't really hold a lot of resource power, but power in numbers. Like, what happens, So I'm going to pull cards on that. So one is 7 of Cups, which is fantasy. So I think all of a sudden here with the Seven of Cups, it reminds me that we realize that we now have many more options that we did before, and that people in power are humans just like us. They're made up of the same stuff. They have a lot of the same fears. They're genetically no different than we are. It's just, it's a question of method and, you know, generational wealth and all of that other stuff. But I think what happens is, yeah, that we all of a sudden see that we have more options available to us than what we can, and like also to give ourselves more credibility than we gave ourselves before. And it kind of opens our eyes to working with other people that we might not have worked with before. I'm seeing a lot now on social media how the fight, right, like the election and things like that, it's like it was divided, Democrats and Republicans, just to like, I don't know that that was technically correct, but you know, let's just say it that way. But like the revolution or the response, the true, like, both sides of this issue is vertical. It's like the 10% at the top who owns like probably a majority of the wealth in the world, definitely in this country, and versus, quote unquote, versus like the middle class to like the poor classes. So I think that like that shift in knowledge even reflects that idea of the Seven of Cups, that we just have many more options. So the second one, cool, is the Priestess. That's really cool. I love how it's like she's doubled and it's the deer or the elk. And like the reverberations like out in the ether. That's really cool. Oh, I think it's water in a wave. Yeah. I mean, I think this tells me that there's just a lot more to come, that we just, you know, that we have so much power and the feminine is really on our side. And honestly, I think the masculine is also on our side. It's just, I mean, it's like heartening, right? It's like knowing that we are supported in our realizations as a country, as a way of moving forward, you know, and it's not like people are saying that there's not going to be a hierarchy in society. I just think that that's probably always how it's going to be. But again, it's like that extreme, what we allow legally to create such extremes in wealth and access, and people not wanting to educate their children in their country properly as a way to keep control and power. That's like, I don't agree with that. Okay, moving on. Ooh, cool. The Crone of Knives, which is the scholar. So the crone is, I guess, what you would call the king. And the knives are swords. So the king of swords, scholar. Wow, beautiful. I feel like I've been at this stage in my life since I was a kid. Like in some ways I feel like I'm very like immature in terms of like living as a 3D human. I a lot of times just don't understand our world. I don't get it very fundamentally. Not even as an opinion, but I just don't know how to move in a world that I don't feel like was really made for me, outwardly speaking. But inwardly, I understand this. I feel more at home. It's a safe place for me to explore my crone parts of me, which is definitely most of my like soul kind of things and my interests. But when it comes to people, like when it comes to people who are like generally that don't have power in this world, when they wake up to the fact that they do, whether it's based on numbers or just based on capacity or just based on like public opinions maybe shifting, when that happens, I feel like it's kind of like that High Priestess card or the Priestess card. It's like we're tapping into, I mean, I know this is a feminine based deck, but we're tapping into, oh, sorry. Oh God, I have to get a better setup. I'm sorry about that. We're tapping into the wiser part of ourselves. I don't necessarily think that this is like it's not necessarily spiritual, but it's even like, I would say the High Priestess part of it is more of like that like the ether. It's like in the ether for all of us. This is more like embodied. This is like more like people who are studying current structures in order to change them. People who know that they have to learn these very destructive ways that we're living right now. Like they have to spend time learning these things so that they can change them, so that they can, it's not even about persuading people who are currently in power, but it's almost like, I don't know, maybe this is a personal thing, but I feel like I have to know what's going on right now before I can really talk about it with other people. And I was watching like one of those guys on YouTube who does like, he's like an independent journalist, but he's pretty good. I think he's kind of affiliated with Midas Touch. I don't know, but I think it's Brian Cohen. I think that's his name, Cohen. And he was doing a live the other day and he said something to the effect of like, you know, he goes on Piers Morgan and other people who are just like totally right-wing and just very dogmatic. And he was like, you know, I'm happy to go on these different shows. Like, I don't care if I'm wrong or if I come across whatever. He was like, that's okay. He was like, it's okay to not fully like he didn't say it's okay to look stupid, but he was like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be completely right about every single thing. He was like, it's okay, you know. And I was like, I really like that, because when people are in politics or when people are talking about, you know, the supposed experts, it's like you have to be infallible or else that soundbite's gonna like ruin your career. And I think these days it's just not. Like, you can be imperfect and not agree with the other side. Like, you can still like actively formulate your opinion and keep learning about something, even if you're like disagreeing with what's happening right now, you know. So I hope that makes sense. Anyways, I'm not doing an oracle pull today, but I thought this was cool and I just wanted to, it's like really pretty outside and I was inspired to like change up the scenery even for me. So sorry for like for not having the best phone setup, but anyways, I hope y'all are doing well. Let me know your thoughts and I'll talk to you later. Bye.